Have you ever had one of those sessions you queue up, you win a game, you win another, you win a third, you're on a 3-win streak, you're feeling good, you're locked in, maybe even thinking, okay, today might be the day that I, rank up and do so well, this is it. And then all of a sudden you lose a game and it's just like a horrible loss. You just lose it hard. You queue again, you lose again. Suddenly, the game just feels unwinnable. Your teammates are throwing, and you're asking yourself, how did I go from cooking to being absolutely useless? So, this video is about why that happens. And no, it's not the bad teammates excuse, the bad matchmaking, or the game suddenly hating you, and I'm in loser's queue. It's something way more annoying than that. Winning changes how you play, and usually not in a good way. So after a few wins, people say things like, yo, I'm locked in. I'm seeing everything. I'm hitting all my shots. I'm just better today. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You're usually not playing better. You didn't get better overnight and just become a prodigy. You're playing looser, more relaxed, right? Winning relaxes you. And relaxation in Overwatch doesn't look like calm confidence. It looks like taking more risk, respecting enemies less, assuming things will just work out. The game hasn't changed. Your decision making has. So let's talk about something which causes this. I call it confidence drift. This is when your baseline decision making slowly shifts without you noticing. Right? Some examples are you peek angles you normally wouldn't. You stay in fights, maybe half a second, 1 second longer than you should have in what you normally do. You stop pre-aiming common threats. You know that someone's always peeking a certain angle, or this is an angle that you know someone's going to be at, but you're not pre-aiming it. You assume your cooldowns will bail you out. And I've had this happen in games too. I go to use my nade. Oh, I don't have it anymore. None of these decisions feel bad in the moment. They feel earned. Because last game, right, you got away with it. But Overwatch isn't a game where success means the decision was good. Sometimes you just weren't flat out punished that game, right? And after 2 to 3 wins, your brain starts to think, see, this works. I won 2-3 games in a row. I'm doing something right. Now, this next thing, this is where things get spicy. After a few wins, you just don't take risk. You take different risk, right? So you won a few games, now you're being a little bit riskier in different ways, right? You start doing things like solo peeking a widow because I'll win this, holding out longer because I can get more value, chasing a kill instead of resetting, using mobility aggressively instead of defensively. Maybe you ban someone in hero bans from the previous game who did really well, but it's a hero that just isn't a good hero anyway, so why waste a ban, right? So here's the point. You stop playing to not lose. You start playing to dominate. You're feeling it. You're locked in, right? And domination, it's super, super fragile. The higher the risk, the more one mistake can flip an entire fight. Overwatch just straight up honestly punishes greed harder than fear. This next thing is the very sneaky part though. This is the Sombra sneaking up, camping you in spawn, right? Spawn camping. This is what we call the invisible tilt. You lose one game after your win streak. No big deal, right? Just one game. You won 3-4 games, you lose one. Except internally, your brain starts thinking, if I just won that game, I would have ranked up, or I would have been close to ranking up. That wasn't supposed to happen if we just played this fight differently, right? So the next game, you're not really tilted, you're corrective, right? You force plays to get momentum back. I'm going to go and play, a little bit more aggressive so I could just confirm this win. You swap heroes faster than usual. They're kind of playing against you a little, a little countering, nothing too crazy, like a soft counter. I'm just swapping, and then you play something less comfortable. You over-focus on fixing one mistake. You take more fights early. This is not rage tilt. You're not raging and tilting here. This is expectation tilt. You're expecting to win now. You went on a win streak and got one loss. And now that expectation is pressure, right? And this other thing is another problem in Overwatch. It's the scoreboard lie, right? The next thing people do is, this is where the Overwatch 2 scoreboard makes everything worse, right? After winning a few games, you start checking stats more. You think, I was top damage last game. My healing was insane, plus I had a ton of damage. I diffed their tank into oblivion. So when you lose, your brain looks for evidence. So now it starts saying, well, I'm not the problem. Something I did isn't wrong. It's my teammates, it's the matchmaking. And the scoreboard always gives you that confirmation, right? When you do really well, it says, well, stats don't lie. But stats truly don't show bad fight timing, overextensions, missed peel for your team, ult usage that looked good but came just a little too late. I can't tell you how many times someone ults and it's like, I asked a Kiriko to ult and I'm playing Soldier 76 and they wait like a second into my ult and then it just doesn't lock in that team fight for the win, right? So there's things that happen, that little tiny micro things are just a problem. So now instead of adjusting how you're playing, you double down. And that's how a small dip then turns into a losing streak. So why this hits harder in Overwatch than like pretty much any other game out there? Overwatch is uniquely brutal here because momentum matters. Ult economy, team confidence, fight flow. Your mistakes don't always look like mistakes, right? You die late, you get traded, you stagger, you almost clutch. The game rewards aggression until it doesn't, and it never tells you when that line has moved. So when you cross that line after a win streak, it just feels sudden and out of the blue. Like you just don't even realize it. Like the game just flipped the light switch on you, turned it on and off, but it didn't. You did. So the next step is how to stop throwing after winning. And I'm not saying you're throwing games, just these little micro things you don't notice, right? So let's talk fixes here. Not the typical, oh, aim better, position better, don't do this, don't do that you see in every single guide from top 500 players. I'm going to give you actual usable stuff to help you fix this. So lock your play style, not your mood, right? Your play style, not your mood. After a few wins, consciously tell yourself, I am not allowed to play differently. Same angles, same cooldown usage, same patience. You don't have to be overly aggressive. You don't have to try and make huge plays. You don't have to play hero ball. Same angles, same cooldown usage, same patience. Lock in that play style. Do not change your mood. It will affect your play style. If you don't actively lock this in, your brain will upgrade the risk without asking you. Next thing is, after a win, play the first fight in a new game a little slower. And this is huge, right? When you play like a game after a win streak, just take time to be patient and analyze the situation, who you're up against. Play the first fight like you're down a game, or play the first fight like you just lost the last fight and that didn't exist, right? Hold those corners, don't force your ultimates, let the enemy show you who they are and show what their playstyle is like. This alone will prevent so many instant losses and just tilts in game. And this is a thing. The next thing is definitely a big meme in the gaming community, is end sessions on a win. Yes, really, end them on a win, right? Overwatch punishes marathon sessions. You're playing for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours on end. Winning raises your expectations. Losing after that hurts more. So if you win a few games in a row, right, or you're on a pretty decent win streak, you played 10 games, you won 7 out of 10. 70% win streak, which means you probably climbed a little bit. So let's say you're on a win streak. That's like a clean stopping point. Don't continue to play and go on a marathon session. Take a little break, reset your mind, right? Take a hour break, 30-minute break, maybe a couple hours, play later in the day. You don't lose your skill as a player by stopping. You protect it. Another thing you could do to improve is track one invisible metric, right? Not your damage, not your kills, not your heals, your assists, whatever. Track something like the deaths per fight. Like you have a team fight, 5v5, and who keeps dying more often, or who's dying on an enemy team. How many people are usually dying in team fights? Alts, your ultimates forced versus used, right? So you force an ult, you force a Zenyatta or Lucio, you force another ult from a tank or a DPS, right? And then you see what was used or not. How often you disengage successfully? So you fight, how do you get out of that, right? How often do you get away without staggering? This keeps your brain focused on process and not ego. So my outro here that I'm going to end with is, so if you ever thought, why do I always throw after winning a few games? Now you know. You weren't unlucky, right? You weren't suddenly bad. You just crossed a line in the game that it just never warned you about. Winning changes how you play. And unless you fight that shift, it will very, very quietly undo you. So, if this felt uncomfortably accurate, you're not alone. And if you want more Overwatch videos that talk about the stuff no one puts in guides, you know what to do. As always, take care.